Hey guys, it's Cal from the Lighting Doctor here. I hope you guys are going to enjoy this consultation series. We're going to give you all kinds of tips and tricks for effectively and properly lighting up your home. This is a free consultation that we do for all our clients. So if you want to get your free consultation, just shoot me an email at cal@lightingdoctor.ca. Send me a few pictures and we'll give you a video presentation of what lights are going to work best with your property, or go and visit us at lightingdoctor.ca or go check out all our videos on YouTube.
Hey, Ken, thanks for sending the pictures and all the additional ones here. Yeah, happy to give you some thoughts on some different things you can do. And please just review the suggestions and then kind of go from there. The one thing I will say is I know what tends to happen on a property of this size, which is a great property. I love it. I wish we had this much land on ours. But people tend to try and light too much, and lights get spread out too much, whereas a lot of times it's better to just focus in on a couple areas, have those looking good, and then later on, if you want to add more lighting around the property, then you can do that. So my main focus and where I would probably get started is more on the front landscape of the house, and then a couple suggestions for a couple of the other areas that I think would look good that you might want to focus on. So looking at this front picture here, start with a couple things and a couple different lights I'll talk about. First off, I think one of the things I definitely would like to see is the front of the house lit up and kind of balance some lighting with a few different things. So I'm probably going to start you off with some accent lighting like these guys here. These up and accent lights are great for highlighting some of the architectural features in your house. Like these, and where I would use those is actually at the base of these pillars. Assuming there's not concrete or pathway right there, I would probably try and get one of those lights fairly close to the base of those pillars, maybe about 18 inches back, that kind of shines up because that'll really make them stand out and highlight this whole area. So I would do that at the base of each one of these pillars, and then to continue that, I would keep a theme across the front of the house here on both sides of the windows. Depending how far back these shrubs are, if they're fairly close to the house, then and you can get that light shooting, fairly straight up and still casting some shadows on the house, I would tend to try and place those lights a little bit behind these shrubs, maybe again maybe 8 to 12 inches, and have them almost shining straight up to highlight these, but then also to highlight kind of both sides of the windows and this archway here, as well as that's going to create a little bit of shadowing from those plants on this area. Which would look really good. And then, along this side, I would continue to kind of add some path and area lights like you have here. So again, we're looking at the accent lights and then some path and area lights like these guys. And I would try and just spread those out. So if you have your accent light here, you maybe 1, 2 path lights, like you have here, maybe 1 in the middle, and then again, maybe 1 and 2 over here. And then you have these accented with some uplighting. And then I would do the same thing with those accent lights on this side of the window. Again, if these are fairly close to the house, then I would try and move it back so you can get some shadowing effect. If they're a little bit further out, you may have to just put the light behind and just shine straight up the columns here to highlight this area, which I think is, either way works good. There's 2 things you're going to do. You're either going to put it out front, you're going to kind of create some shadows along here as well as accent it, or you're going to backlight it and really highlight the archway, and then you create some silhouetting at night of this where you just see the shadows of it. So both are really cool options. So and something good to start with, Ken, too, is a lot of times I suggest if you're not sure, start with something like this, or try it before you buy a kit where you get like 3 of these lights that comes with this battery pack that you can actually just go and plug these lights into with a few AA batteries, and you can go test all those lights out to see how they're going to look with the suggestions I'm making. Another thing you may want to do is get a flagpole light. So basically, same thing, it would be an accent light like we just talked about here. The only difference is I would just use a narrower degree beam angle in that, so that pushes that light more centralized to the top of that flag. And then again, if you're going to use some path and area lights along this this front, just don't overdo it. I tend to see people do that a lot, but just try and stagger them. So again, like we said, you have an accent light here, then maybe you have a path light here, you have a path light here. You have an accent light here, you've got your flagpole light, you have an accent light, you've got an accent light, well maybe you throw a path light in here, you have your accent light, maybe one in here, your accent light, and maybe one in here, and you don't tend to overdo it. And then the other thing you may want to do with some of these smaller palm trees, a light that works really well, is these guys here, which is a wash light. So basically not quite as intense as a uplight, a little bit wider, a little bit softer. Works really good for any of these kind of little, 4-foot palms, like you said, and just having that kind of at the front and just highlighting this. And the nice thing about that is it's really just going to feature this tree, and it's not going to take anything away from anything back here. So that's the light I would probably recommend if you have a couple trees like this. And then, if we look in the front yard here on some of these bigger palms, I would definitely suggest trying to accent those. The only thing is, unless you're going to maintain like a mulch bed or some kind of area around there where you don't have to mow, if you're going to do that, then that's fine. I think you can just use a standard accent light. But if you're going to have to maintain around this, you probably want to go to something like this instead, which is an in-ground light. Basically just goes flush in the ground, so that way you can just mow, trim over it, way less maintenance, and you get the exact same effect as this. You can change the beam, the beam spread, the intensity of the light on this the same as you can here. It's just less maintenance. They are a little bit more because they actually have to be sealed because they stay in the ground. So if you have to maintain around it, this is a good option, but that's where I would use that on, maybe a tree like this, and just consider different viewing angles. Where do you want to see that tree highlighted from the most? If the front of the house, you've really got it lit up nicely so it looks good looking from this angle, well, then you might want to put that accent light on this tree from this angle, so that as you're walking around, obviously the house is still going to be lit, but it just creates another viewing angle where it's maybe a little more, I don't want to say intense, but it just stands out a little bit more from a different angle. And then, something else, it depends how close these trees are to the property, but I know something that looks good is if you want to, not necessarily, it would look good from the backyard lit up, but it also looks good from the front if you can put one of those either accent lights or in-ground lights on some of these trees here, but really bump up the intensity to like a 7-watt LED bulb with a narrow degree beam spread, so it just fires that light up to the tops of these. And then as you're looking at the house, not only do you see everything down below lit up, but you see these towering trees in the background lit up, which is something cool and an effect I really like also. So and if we move around the front, I wouldn't worry too much about too much of the other stuff here, except for around the driveway. This is an area where you may want to use those wash lights on some of these smaller palm trees, just to give a little bit of definition to the driveway area, and really feature them, and they're going to get bigger. And if they are going to get quite a bit bigger, then that's something, again, maybe we want to go with an in-ground light like this, and start off with just using a smaller bulb, so less intense, not as bright. And then as they get bigger, you can just change the bulb in there and make it a little bit brighter to grow with the tree. So anyway, I think that covers most of what I wanted to kind of touch on. So use those ideas and suggestions. Let me know what you think. This scenario here, looking from this angle, again, this is where you might want to use that wash light on this guy here, because it's going to light up what from this viewing angle this would be kind of a dark corner of the house. So definitely throwing a wash light on this guy and kind of having it at this angle will just kind of help lighten up that area too. But let me know if you have any other questions, and happy to help. Thanks, Ken.
Hey guys, I really hope you enjoyed that video presentation with some great tips and tools on how to go and properly and effectively light up your landscape. And be sure, if you want your own free consultation video just like that one, send me an email at cal@lightingdoctor.ca with a few pictures of your property, and we'll get back to you with some really cool ideas and ways to go and effectively light your property. And be sure to watch the videos after this one for more tips on how to install landscape lighting, as well as how to light up your landscape the best way possible.